Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Sophia, and we are talking today about discharge planning and life outside the hospital when you are post-transplant. So if you are new here, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that way you can come along this journey with us where we are talking about kids with complex medical histories, what that looks like for parents, and self-esteem building, not just for our kids, but also for parents that are dealing with tough times with their children. So, like I said, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I also am the author of the amazing children's book, I Know Who I Am, which is all about positive affirmations and self-esteem building. There is a link in the description box, so please make sure that you check it out. Where we left off last time was that we have engrafted, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. Just so grateful that this was a success. And I don't want to take away from that or be insensitive, because there are people that have had stem cell transplants that have had lots of complications that, the engraftment wasn't successful or it didn't treat whatever the condition was. So I do just want people to know that stem cell transplant is not something that is light. It's not something that's easy, because even after engraftment, once you've been discharged from the hospital, there is a whole process after that. And I feel like that's when reality sets in, because when you're in the hospital, you have nurses, you have staff. If you need to take a break, even as a parent, you know that there are people there with your kids. If there's something going on, they're on the monitor. There are multiple eyes. But when you're at home, it's on you, and you now are the nurse, the doctor, you are the caregiver, you are everything for that child. And so that's where we were at. And in the process of discharge planning, there was lots of teaching, how to flush his central line. And like I said, guys, I was not a nurse yet at the time. Going through this process is actually what encouraged me to actually go and get my BSN and go and enter the nursing field. I had always worked in healthcare, but I wasn't at the bedside. And so through this experience, it was, okay, no, this is what we're going to do. So, lots of discharge planning, lots of teaching, like I said, flushing the central line, how to take care of it, things to look for. And a big thing when you are post-transplant is isolation. You are not having people coming in and out, because they are they still have a very weak immune system that is trying to learn how to maneuver. It's like having a newborn baby. I'm not going to take a newborn baby into, I don't know, like the zoo, I guess. Like, I don't know, probably bad example, but you're cautious and stuff. So that was also the thing, that you are going to be in isolation, limited to the people that you live with. If you're out in fresh air, I probably shouldn't have used the zoo, because the zoo actually is fresh air. But if you're out in the open, it's different. But if you're in closed spaces, you don't want to have people coming from all different places, work, coming and being around your child out of fear of risk, that they could have something, or a cold, or whatever the case may be, that you're not even aware of, and then it caused your child to become sick. So I'm excited. We get discharged on a Friday, and I know that we're going to be followed very closely at Dana-Farber in the beginning, twice a week. Okay, so we go in on that Monday, and I remember devastated. They check his temperature, and he has a fever. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's no way he has a fever. And protocol is, if you have a fever after a certain period of time, especially such a critical period, you're going to be admitted all over again. So I was so upset, because we took the temperature like 2 times and it was reading like 38.5. And I was like, there's no way that he has a fever right now. And they were like, yeah, sorry, you're going to be readmitted. And I was like, we only had 2 days of freedom, 2 days of being outside the home, and you're telling me that we have to go back in again? I was devastated. And the nurses on the floor that we were at were like, Sophia, this is very common. You have to understand, he's been here for a month. He was in the hospital for 28 days. He's been in here for a month. And, now he's been exposed to the outside world. This is very common. And so, once again, 48 hours, we were there. And he didn't have a fever any other time after that, which I was very, very grateful for. But I was, full disclaimer, absolutely devastated because I felt like I had been given a dose of freedom, a dose of we're going to be able to do this. And I felt like it was snatched back. But we made it through. We got discharged again. And then once again, like I said, started the outpatient track at Dana-Farber, literally twice a week. Blood draws, looking at where he was at, what medications he needed, what infusions he needed. And all of this was right up until, not the golden number, but you want to make it up until like 100 days post-transplant. That's when we can start talking about, okay, maybe you don't need the central line anymore. Maybe you might not need these infusions anymore. Maybe, you're showing such progress that depending on the kind of transplant that you had, that, okay, we can start to wean off. So that was always the goal. Let's see where we can get to for day 100. And then we're going to get this central line taken out. We're going to not have to come here twice a week. We are going to be able to, slowly but surely wean down the process. And so, like I said, guys, it's not for the faint of heart. It is not easy. It is very taxing on you, on your family, on your other children. If you have other children as you're going through this process, it is hard. It is very hard. But I will say this, the one thing that sustained me throughout all of this was my relationship with God. There were times that I doubted. There were times that I cried. There were times that I was like, hello, where are you? Are you listening? This is rough. And I was scared because this is my child and I am responsible for him. I'm trying to take care of him, and there are all these things going on. I have nurses coming to see him at home. I'm trying to take care of him. And I have other children that I have to take care of, and I have to take care of myself. And oftentimes we as parents, we deep dive and we forget about ourselves. But I will say that it's so important to have community in the midst of this. There were nights that I didn't stay at the hospital, and I had friends that came and relieved us of shifts and came and were like, I'm going to spend the day with him today. We're going to take turns. I'm going to spend the night with him today. Go get your nails done. Go sleep in your own bed. I'm going to take him for a walk. Just things like that, that in the midst of the journey that you're going through, it's really important to have people that care about you. It's okay to let people in to help because they genuinely do want to help, and you need the help. You can't do it by yourself. But here we are, I'm going to say how many years? 6 years post-transplant. And I thank God every single day. We still have our yearly checkups. We still have our yearly echoes, our yearly PFTs, still get our eyes checked. And as I said, there are things, definitely side effects that we still see, but overall, he's thriving, a happy, healthy child, and I'm grateful. And as I said, never in 1,000 years would I have thought that after dealing with this situation with one child, that later down the road, I would be dealing with this with a second child. But stay tuned for that story.